Thank you. I'm so excited to have Meghan here with us. We've had a lot of discussions in the past few months about our interactions with Alternative House, and now you'll have an opportunity to hear directly from Meghan. This session will be followed by a Q&A. If any of you have some questions for Meghan, that would be a great time to ask, touch base with her directly. Okay, so Meghan Huebner is the Director of Residential Services of the Alternative House, which offers housing and community-based support to youth and families throughout Fairfax County. In that position, she wears several hats, and I will mention just 3 of them over here. She does a lot more than what I'm going to mention here. She is responsible for the emergency shelter for teenagers, and this is a 3-week program for youths in crisis. This is the program that we're supporting primarily. She leads the Assisting Youth Mothers program, which is a program for pregnant and parenting young mothers. Another one that she is involved with is she's in charge of the Homeless Youth Initiative, which is a housing and case management program for homeless and unaccompanied youth attending the Fairfax County Public Schools. Meghan holds a bachelor's degree in Spanish and education and a master's degree in social work. She has worked for the Alternative House for 12 years. So Meghan, on to you.
Sure.
Bring it up. Join us in welcoming her.
Do I need the mic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
I did not know it would be double mic'd when I came here. So yeah. You guys are tougher than I thought you would be. Great. So I just want to thank you all first for having me come out and speak, and also for supporting the Alternative House. I know for quite some time, I've been there forever, and I know that you all have been supporting our teen shelter, which is our oldest program, the program that's located on Gallows Road as you come down from Tyson's Mall, our most visible program. And it's been a huge help to have the support that you all have provided over the years, which has included both snack and food supplies, as well as sort of home supplies, and then the crafting supplies for our youth who are at the shelter as well. And I'll talk kind of a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to give kind of a quick overview of the programs. We run a number of different programs. The community-based programs are after-school programs. So we have a teen center in Culmore, which is for 7th to 12th graders. It's a safe place for them to come in after school and get help with homework, get a hot meal, get a snack, and actually for a lot of those kids to get a meal to take home as well. The kids across all of our programs really have a lot of issues with food instability and hunger. Fairfax County is a very wealthy county, but there are a number of people in our county who are really struggling. So those community-based programs really help with providing support in the form of food, but also in the form of counseling and even help just sort of, you get a letter sent home if mom and dad don't speak English. And a lot of our kids in that program don't as well. We have a staff member who can translate and help them out. We started noticing coming to that program that they were bringing their little siblings. So we started a program for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who are also struggling with similar issues. There are huge gang recruitment issues, especially in that Culmore neighborhood, and they will look for the kids younger and younger. So we've started programs, those 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, having them come in after school, getting homework help, getting that support and counseling, and also having a safe place. We also have neighborhood centers, so those are for anyone in the community, one in Culmore and one in Springfield, where people can drop in and just get help, whether it's figuring out how to access certain benefits. We run a health clinic there, so kids can get physicals at no cost. We have legal clinics, computer classes, really anything that anyone in the community might need help with. So those are sort of our non-residential programs. I head all our residential programs. So we have our Assisting Young Mothers program, which is for pregnant and parenting young moms. They are living with us. They have no place else to go. So some of them have been kicked out of their homes once they became pregnant. Some of them left when they got pregnant because they knew that they could do better when they moved out. But moving out with a 4-month-old is really, really hard. So they bounce from place to place. They might end up in the shelter system. But we offer housing and support, therapy, and parenting and life skills training so that hopefully when they graduate our program after 18 months or 2 years that they can live independently and support themselves and their children. Our Homeless Youth Initiative is one of our newer programs. That's the program that Marianne mentioned, which has the Fairfax County Public High School students. These are students who don't have a parent or guardian. They have come here on their own, or their parents have passed away, or there was too much conflict at home and they left, or there was too many people living at home and they left. We've had kids who have been sleeping in closets. There have been 12 people living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they've really had no place to go, but they really, really, really want to finish high school. So we work with them to find housing. We have a group home for girls. We have host homes, so people in the community who have opened up their home at no cost to us or the student to house them until they graduate, and also rent vouchers. Some of our students have been working really, really hard. They're going to high school full-time. They're working 2 or 3 part-time jobs. And they're still only making $400 a month. And when it costs $450 a month to rent a room, they're really stuck. So we step in, we pay a portion of that rent. That allows them to pay a smaller portion and either save money or maybe cut back on one of their jobs so they can study and get to graduation. And then our longest standing program is that teen shelter on Gallows Road, the one that you all have been supporting for so long. And this is our short-term program. So this is up to 3 weeks for youth who are 13 to 17 years old, and they can't or won't be at home for any number of reasons. So we've had kids who are involved with substance abuse issues. So parents are worried, hey, he's not coming home on time. I think he might be smoking. I don't know what's going on. So they call us 24/7. They talk to a counselor, and the teens come in and stay with us during that time. So conflict at home, issues at school, bullying, issues of self-esteem, mental illness, whatever it is, we offer them a chance to kind of step back from that, look at what's going on with individual and group counseling, bring the family in for family counseling, and then hopefully after that 3 weeks, they'll be able to return home or return to someplace safe to continue on. So while they're with us, they're participating in a really structured program. We have pretty much every hour of the day programmed if they're not at school because they've been suspended or they're from out of the area. We've had a number of runaways who have come in from as far as New York, Florida, and Michigan. So they have come to this area for fun or because someone said they'd meet them and then they didn't. There's a lot going on. I've been there long enough that the internet was invented, and you laugh. But what we've seen is kids get online and they don't know who they're meeting, and that person says, oh, I'm having a big party, or you ought to meet my friends. They show up and it's not what they thought or what they were told it would be. As I don't know how many you've heard, but human trafficking is something that's becoming a more and more kind of prevalent issue. It's always been around, but it's coming kind of to the forefront, and a lot of our high school girls are being preyed on and kind of invited to motel parties and put in compromising and unsafe situations. So we offer them a chance to kind of step back, look at what's going on, hopefully get back home if they're not from this area, or get maybe longer term counseling or support somewhere else if that's what they need. So during the day they're with us, they're getting 2 group counseling sessions a day. We look at stuff like self-esteem or conflict resolution, things that we think all the kids would benefit from. And then they also pick what they want to work on individually. So individually, if they want to work on getting along better with their mom, that's what they're going to talk about in their individual sessions. So they're doing a lot of work. It is work. It is not a fun time. So we do want to make sure that they also have time to themselves. So we do have some free time during the day, and they can choose whatever activities they want to do. So that is one of the times that we've seen a number of our kids have been choosing the craft activities that we've offered based on the supplies that you all have brought. So we have a lot, and I am not a crafty person, so I think it's crocheting, but it could be knitting. I don't want to offend anyone. You guys are the experts. But they're making things like scarves and hats. That sounds like crocheting, right? Yeah? Yeah? Oh no. It's something, but they're making it. They're making bracelets. There's a lot of, someone made a beaded bracelet and hung it up on my board and made one for each staff member. But they're able to kind of look at our stuff and take that time to themselves and say, hey, here's something I can do. They're hearing a lot about what they can't do. You're never going to graduate from high school, you're not good enough, whether they're hearing that from their family or friends or other people. So during their free time, some of them are, working on different items. We also have recreation time, so that's the time when we all do an activity together. Our kids haven't had a lot of structure in their lives, most of them, so we're working on, here's something we can do together. Let's choose an activity we all want to do, and then let's do that activity. So sometimes the kids have chosen to work on craft activities as well. That tends to be more in the painting kind of direction during those times, something that can all kind of sit down and do and chat with each other at the same time. And then they also have quiet time. This is the time of day that they hate because they have to be quiet. It's the time of the day that we love because we get some work done. But that's really a chance for self-reflection. So that's when we see a lot of journaling or a lot of collage, kind of going through magazines and pulling out different materials and, creating something that's kind of unique to them, and that's really looking at what their experience has been that's brought them to us, and then hopefully they're also using that time to look at and express sort of what their hope for the future is and where they hope to be after they leave us. And we do, display their artwork at the shelter as much as possible. We do want to make sure that we're respecting their confidentiality, so and sort of their personal feelings. So we never, display anything that's too personal or that someone doesn't want us to hang up. But we have a number of kids who will make something and give it to staff or ask that it be put in the office for people to see. And just watching them kind of take that initiative and really kind of have something that they can say, I made this, and then everybody gets to see it is really nice. So that's been kind of a nice thing for us to see, more positive ways of self-expression than perhaps they were using before they came to us. And then, the other aspect that you all have supported have been, like I said, the snacks and the household items, which are critical. We are a nonprofit, so we do not have the budget to do a lot of fun things. And, for some of our kids, to be honest, chips are a fun thing. We have kids, like I said, who have a lot of food instability, and so to be able to come to our shelter and when it's during that free time to have a choice of a snack is really huge for them. We do have to watch them. They don't go overboard with that. They are teenagers, and there are chips. But just to have that, this is mine, I can have this snack, no one else is going to take it from me, I don't have to share it with my 3 siblings. For some of them, that's a really important thing as well. We can make sure that we're buying milk and fruit and vegetables because those are the kinds of things that are really hard to donate. People don't just, put a jug of milk in the basket at church and then the next week bring it to us, hopefully. But so we understand we need to buy those things, and we certainly do. But having, the snacks, the fun things as, a treat for the kids is really important for them as well. And we do serve about 150 to 200 youth at the shelter alone every year. So you can imagine what a house looks like if it has 150 teenagers living in it. So all of the additional kind of, miscellaneous cleaning supplies, all that stuff really goes towards making the shelter look good. And, when you're living in a shelter, that's a tough time in your life, whether you're a kid, whether you're a family. So we want them to feel as comfortable as possible. So any items that would come in from you all, any items that come in from other donors, because of our variety of programs, someone drops off diapers, we've got a place for that to go. Someone drops off cereal, we've got a place for that to go. So everything that comes to us gets used by our clients because we serve everyone from newborns to adults. And it really makes a difference. You know, it also allows our staff to focus on those individual sessions and working with them and making sure that they get the support that they need before they go back out there to the real world. So, any questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
Are you tied in at all with the ACA food pantry?
So we do referrals for those families who are not living with us and for some of those who are. And we do use ACA for some other services as well, although I don't know that our clients have specifically accessed their food pantry, but that's helpful.
I was just wondering if you as an organization could get food out of the food pantry.
We might be able to. That's something to look into. Thank you.
You mentioned that your program goes through high school. So are there any other programs in Fairfax County that can help kids, say, 18 or older, that are lost, don't have a place to stay?
Yes. So we have another program that's connected to our Homeless Youth Initiative, a smaller one, that's for any youth who are 18 to 21 who are homeless or unstably housed in Fairfax County. So that's our transitional living program. We work on housing. We don't have the group home option, but we do have the rent vouchers and the host homes. And actually, we're going to be starting a new program in another month or so, which will be for 18 to 24-year-olds who are homeless in the shelter system.
Do you prefer food in individual packages, or do the larger ones get put someplace that they can take whatever they want, or?
Both, yes. So during that free time, that's when they're grabbing those individual ones. And then when we do all our meals at the shelter. So we are preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for all those kids. So sometimes people will pack a lunch if they're going to school, but everything that comes in those larger sizes will get used for a meal.
Your capacity is 8, right? Because I've been delivering for several weeks. But normally, sometimes when I come, there's nobody there, but you obviously, you can save most of the stuff. So what's the normal?
So our average at any given moment is probably about 5.
Okay.
Because we do intakes, youth come in crisis, they call us at 3 a.m. We're not going to say, oh, well, call us back tomorrow at 9, or, we'll set up an appointment for next week. If you call at 3 a.m., we'll have you in by 4. So our numbers can fluctuate wildly at any given moment, which is difficult for people who help us out by donating dinners, because we could have 2 people on Monday and they're donating on Wednesday, and then Wednesday morning I say, we have 6. So we do, usually the start of the school year, which we've just gotten past, is our historic very low time. It's a time of optimism. This year is going to be different. I won't cut class, I won't A, B, C, D, E. And then frequently A, B, C, D, E, F, G all happens. So we are now on our upswing yet again.
If we concentrate on the art items partially, and it's wonderful to hear about the scarves and the hats, sometimes we don't know what you might need more of, and we're just giving items individually, and it's kind of hard to know, well, you really need 4 crochet hooks, you really need 8 skeins of yarn. And it's a lot of work to ask you to let us know, hey, we could, this is really popular, FYI, but it might be helpful. It might get you what you need.
And again, I don't know what these things are. Yarn, I don't know. But I think, what we can do is kind of to keep an eye, our kids come and go because it's 3 weeks. So the group who is really, really into crocheting is gone, and then the next group is really, really into painting. So what we could do, which would probably be helpful, is come up, now that most of my staff has been there for a few years, with sort of that baseline of we always need, we're always losing crochet hooks or knitting needles or both. kind of things. So we could come up with sort of a standard list of these are the things that we always need because, you know, if this group doesn't like it, the next group is definitely going to be into it.
How were adult coloring books with you? Did they like them?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just actually, there's a huge one someone just did bigger than our poster, which I should mention, hanging up in our office that she did for staff. And she said that ability to just kind of put all her mind issues to the side and just work on that, what I thought was very intricate and somewhat tedious looking coloring. It was super therapeutic for her because she could put her stuff to the side and just focus on, okay, this tiny circle, what color am I going to color it in, and go through it. So those have been super popular, yeah.
So do you have people come in and volunteer to teach the kids how to knit and crochet and do crafts, or is it just the staff that's working with the kids? And if you wanted to volunteer, how would you do that?
So that's one thing that Marianne and I had talked about before is during that recreation time, in the past we've had a couple people come in and that's been a good experience for the kids. It varies group to group, like I said. So, you know, we had someone who was teaching knitting and, you know, like her first 2 groups were really, really into it and then the next 2 were like, this really isn't for me. But one thing that we're hoping to be able to do is to have people come in and either demonstrate or, you know, teach their particular craft and skill during that time. So the kids kind of can, you know, be exposed to something that's either new and interesting to them because they haven't seen it, or something that they've wanted to do or something that they didn't know existed or whatever it is. So we were hoping that during that rec time that anyone who would be interested, we could get kind of a schedule and a sign up going, and that would be hopefully something that our kids could learn from you all.
What is the average length of stay for a kid?
So the average length of stay is about 12 days, mostly because we have our kids who come in, it's an emergency, they need 2 or 3 nights with us, and they're gone, and then we have the kids who are staying that full 3 weeks. So the average is a little bit in the middle, but it's really because kids are at one end of the spectrum or the other.
Do you have a
Do you have
sewing?
repeaters?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes. Not shockingly, if you were in crisis when you're 14, most of those things don't have a chance to resolve after 3 weeks. We do provide resources and referrals, and we do follow-ups, and encourage people to, say, access family and individual counseling on an ongoing basis, but that same crisis might pop up a year later. It might pop up a month later. So we don't want to have people coming in and out over and over again without kind of working on what those bigger issues are. But we certainly have we've had people come in at 13 and again at 17. We've had people come in, 4 times in the span of 3 years.
Do you have a sewing machine?
No.
Okay. Looks like this.
I have a lot of things that look like that. Fax machine?
You plug it
Is
in.
it foot powered? Actually, we don't at our shelter, but I think our Homeless Youth Initiative does, because somebody taught a sewing class there as well. We also have those, you all have supported the shelter directly, but we do life skills groups in the Homeless Youth Initiative and the Assisting Young Mothers program, and we've had a number of clients who have appreciated a sewing class that was taught just kind of basic stuff, but for them it was really like very interesting. So that's also an option as well.
One question that I have is with regards to the craft donations, and I was talking with you about that a while ago, is that, if someone has been in residence for however long and they're in the middle of a project or partially done, working on their project, when they leave, presumably they would bring this item home, wherever they're going, back home with them, and then do they bring the supplies that they need to wrap that up, and including the crochet, the knitting needles and all that, which means that when we've given some needles, then they're gone with that person, and then they need some more. And so that was the question. Do the items just go away?
All of our items go away. You name it, it's gone away. So we want to encourage that crafting as a healthy coping skill for those kids who have picked it up. So as much as we can, we'd like to send them with materials, but our materials are limited. So, we'll send them with what they can, but the more, we would have of something, the more we'd be able to give them everything that they need, knowing that they're probably not going to be able to purchase those things once they leave us.
Are they both boys and girls?
Yes. Yep.
And the teaching that we would do, or whatever we're doing with them, would be all the kids, right? Whoever's there.
Yes. Whoever's at the teen shelter on that day, which could be 1, it could be 6, just kind of depends on the day of the week and, whether it's been a full moon or anything like that. That's for real. That is for real.
Yeah, it is real.
It is.
I was just thinking that for you guys, if any of you guys do Zentangling, if you fooled around with it, that would be just the best thing for those kids. It's a program where you're kind of doodling in a controlled
Specific way.
way. And it's very cool, and it's really absorbing. It does take your mind away. No, you do it with a pen and ink. A pen and ink. Yeah, it's cool.
That would be a good redirection for our kids who tend to draw on the tables.
Yes, really.
Are there any restrictions, either for safety reasons or whatever, on kinds of things that you don't, like, for example, I have a lot of scrap glass, and I can say, oh yeah, they can make a lot of mosaics, but you may not want a lot of pieces of sharp glass hanging around.
That's a good question. So there are some items that we do tend to keep. We keep all our scissors locked up, for example. We have kids who have self-injurious behaviors, and we want to make sure that there's not glass and scissors lying around. So, and they're welcome to use them as long as, we have a watch on certain kids if they're not having a good day and they wouldn't be able to access that. But we'll just keep them. They can come and say, hey, can I get the scissors to do this, or can I get whatever? So there's no ultimate restriction. No, we would never take blank, but some things are more monitored than others.
Any other questions? These sessions, where they can do something artistically, how long do they last? Are they an hour, 2 hours? How long are they?
Yeah, so our recreation is an hour
An hour, okay,
each,
that's-
virtually every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we're there and we're not through in an hour, we just is a little leeway there?
It depends on what the next activity is. If it's their free time, they're gone.
Oh, there we go, okay.
Although some kids would stay and work on stuff, but most of them, since that's the only time they can use the telephone, they're gone. And what we do sometimes, if they're really into something, they'll come back to it later on, or if there's a good stopping point. But I would say anyone who's coming in to kind of keep that hour time frame in mind.
Do they do any schoolwork while they're there?
If they're Fairfax County Public School and they are in school, they are going to school. If they are from somewhere else, if they're from DC, for example, we'll try and get their work sent over. And so they'll work on that during that quiet time, which is another reason they don't like quiet time.
Anybody else? Okay, are we good?
Thank you.
So, again, a big